Hello everyone, it's Michael Eaton with Two Dudes Review, here to give you my rant on a film that I went to see about 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago. I took the woman who would become my wife, and she had the same reaction that I did. We walked out. It's one of the few movies I've ever actually walked out on. So, last week I talked about how much I loved the story The Prince of Egypt. It's one of my favorite animated movies ever. And it's a story that a lot of people know, and a story that many people should know. So I had high hopes going into this, and boy oh boy. What a shit show I have for you today. So, as many of you know, the Moses story is about an orphan who is sent floating down the river by his mother because she wants him to live because the Egyptian soldiers are coming to commit mass genocide. And the baby is found by the Egyptian empress and their son Ramesses, and the baby grows up and is named Moses. That's pretty much where the accuracy stops in terms of this movie. And it was directed by Ridley Scott, who directed nothing but sci-fi and horror. Like Alien, Hannibal. I don't know why the hell they picked him for this. I don't think he knows anything about Bible movies or the Bible at all. And you have someone like Christian Bale as Moses, who is a gladiator. Yeah, apparently Moses was a gladiator in this. And I feel bad because he's not only the worst Batman in my eyes, but he's a god-awful Moses. And the only thing I've ever seen from him that I actually liked was his performance in The Fighter. And if you haven't seen The Fighter yet, you're missing out because it's a great film. Unlike this frickin' train wreck. And then of course you have Joel Edgerton, who can be good. I've seen him in good stuff. He's been great in bad stuff. But he's just not Ralph Fiennes. He's a terrible Ramesses. You cannot match up to Ralph Fiennes as Ramesses in The Prince of Egypt. He was the perfect villain, the perfect sympathetic character. You felt bad for him, but also were rooting against him. That's what made Ramesses so great. Here, there's none of that. All it is a freaking half-assed version of the Exodus story. And let me get into a lot of the liberties that this film takes in telling this story. And as we all know, Moses exiles himself after finding out what he really is. He goes to find peace far away. And of course, God himself comes down and tells him that he is to be the deliverer of the Jews. Now, usually in this, there's usually the burning bush. Not in this. You know what they have? A 10-year-old boy. A 10-year-old boy is taking the form that God takes in this film. At that point, I looked over at Abby and I'm like, we are in such trouble. Because who the hell thought that was a good idea? Have a little kid replace the burning bush, because the burning bush is so powerful. It is the centerpiece of the journey that Moses goes on. And yet it gets replaced with a 10-year-old boy who can't even act his way out of a paper bag. Oh, and then we get to, of course, I've talked about the acting in this is awful from everybody. Freaking the kid, Christian Bale, Joel Edgerton. Just the acting from everyone is so freaking awful and wooden, and I didn't believe a single word that came out of their mouths. And now we get to the plagues, which are a big factor in the Moses story. And of course, we start with turning the sea red. As we know, it's blood coming from Moses' wooden staff. In this, it's because alligators were munching on fish, killing them. And that's why the sea was red. They already screwed up one plague. And yet they freaking mooch their way around the others. They don't even treat it like it's a big deal. And then you get to the final one, which is the death of the firstborn son. And even that is, it's not shown with any dignity or weight to it. Just, the plagues are done so horribly and so wrong in this. And, but then we get to the point where me and Abby actually walked out on. So as many of you know the story, after the firstborn son is killed, Ramses tells Moses that the people can go. They can leave. So Moses takes them to the promised land, and they of course get to the Red Sea, and that's where Moses parts the Red Sea in two. And all of a sudden, coming from behind them are Ramses and the soldiers, coming to kill all of them. So the slaves run for their lives into the Red Sea, trying to get to the other side. And of course, we all know that the sea crashes, killing Ramses and the other soldiers. In this, not only does Ramses and the soldiers get caught in the Red Sea when it crashes, but so does Moses, which I had never heard of before in this story. And not only that, Moses is the only one to survive it. That's when Abby turned to me and she's like, I want to get the hell out of here. And I didn't blame her. That was just so damn dumb. It just felt like a half-ass version of an action sequence. And even then it wasn't done really well. And you couldn't really make out what was going on. And of course, when you get to the part where Moses is writing the Ten Commandments on the tablets with chalk, which I don't even know if that's true, the kid shows back up, telling him what to write. So, Ridley Scott, did you have any clue what the hell you were doing? Like, at all? Did you even understand the material that was given to you? My guess is you probably didn't have a damn clue. And neither did the actors, neither did the production people, neither did any of the camera people. I mean, it's by far one of the worst Bible movies I've ever seen, and one of the worst movies, period, that I've ever seen. And it sucks because it comes from a legendary director who's honestly not one of my favorites. But, I mean, he's a favorite to many people. And, I mean, this is his worst. This is his worst movie. Worse than Hannibal, worse than any of the other not so well received ones that he's done. I know he's done ones that just didn't work out well for critics or audiences, but to me this is one of the most insulting films I've ever seen. And it just makes my blood boil every single time I think about it, especially going back to watch a masterpiece like The Prince of Egypt. And look, if you want a good movie experience in terms of the story of Moses, just watch The Prince of Egypt. Even go back further than that, watch Ten Commandments. Any version of this story would be better than what the hell this movie gave us. It's stupid, it's degrading, it just takes liberties that didn't need to be taken. It's insulting to people who love this story. It's insulting to Christians. It's even insulting to moviegoers. Seriously. That's the money I regret the most in terms of going to the movie theater. I wish I could get that money back. So all in all, guys, if you want to keep your cool and not lose your mind over a story that you know so well, done horribly, stay away from this film as much as you can. Do not even consider renting it or getting it on streaming. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your attention. Just watch anything else. I can watch freaking paint dry, and it'll be more impactful than what I saw here. And Ridley Scott, much like the Red Sea in this film, your film career, your directing career, has crashed because of this. Whew. So, if there's another bad film that you guys want me to look at, leave it in the comments below. And until next time, I'm Michael Eaton. I'm so tired.